Haunted houses are pretty fun, right? I mean, you love them or you hate them, but you can't deny a good haunted house is going to scare you. Now, why is it going to scare you? Is going to be because it shows you what's scary. It will leave. Actually, you know what? Let me propose a example of a haunted house for you to demonstrate my point. Let's say you're a fan of haunted houses, so you get a couple of friends around and you all go out to a haunted house for a night. You go there, you go inside, and the first room you see is this dentist room. Now, at first glance, it looks pretty normal, but upon further inspection, you find that on the desk there's a jar of teeth, as all dentists have, as well as a metal canister on the floor labeled knockout gas, as all dentists also have. The two things every dentist has. And you actually decide to look to the other side of the room and you find the patient lying in the little table chair thing that they have. I'm not really sure what it's called. And it's all looking pretty normal. But a few moments pass and you see the patient actually wakes up. And that's when the dentist decides to make his move and start yanking some teeth out. You see blood spurting here and there. You see the dentist pulling out a few teeth. And, obviously the patient is screaming, the dentist is laughing, having a good time. And if you're anything like me, you just book it out of there. I already don't like people touching my teeth, so I don't want to think about that. But what this is all to say is that the story being told was presented to you in a way that you could understand and was told effectively. It is very short, very self-contained, but you're able to figure out that the dentist is likely knocking his patients out and then waiting to pull their teeth out until after they wake up because he's, I don't know, a freak or a psycho, sociopath, whatever you want to call it. But you're really able to figure out the story all on your own if you put the pieces together because it's presented in a way that is very easy to understand and digest. Now, this would be very different and if some guy was just behind you the whole time telling you, hey, there's a dentist. He's pretty bad. He's taking some teeth and he's killing some people. There's a jar of teeth right over on the desk over there. You might want to run away. Now, like, if someone did that to you during a haunted house, it would definitely just take you right out of it because it's unnecessary. You don't need 10 lines of exposition if you're able to write an effective story and showcase why the audience should be afraid of something. Now, in relation to the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, which, by the way, for some quick context, was a movie made in 1974 by Tobe Hooper. And it is a very weird and bizarre movie and revolves primarily around Sally and her brother, Franklin, and their friends, Jerry, Pam, and Kirk. They're all going away to, I think, is what, like a little bit of a vacation to an old family farmhouse just to have some fun. And wouldn't you know it, as luck would have it, it's not fun. It's not fun at all. They find some very, very dangerous stuff, or I guess people, you could say. It doesn't turn out too well for them. And there will definitely be spoilers from this point moving forward. So if you have not seen the movie and you do want to see it, I would definitely say just cut it off right here. Go watch the movie, and it'll still be here. So there's a lot of movies that really do exemplify what it means to show the audience what it is to be afraid of and not tell them. But in relation to, again, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, if we do want to explore that more, I think this is like the perfect movie to do it. It's got good writing. It's got a lot of stuff to explore. The world itself is, well, it's creepy. It's weird and it's bizarre. The opening shot of the movie is that of a corpse. There's a little camera flashing, or, someone's taking pictures of a corpse for the autopsy or reports or crime scene investigation. I'm not really good with knowing stuff like that at all. But there's a lot of stuff to explore. I mean, let's take this scene, for instance, right here. It's a scene in which you have Franklin, who is moving around the house, and he comes across, obviously, the doorway. Now, at the base of the doorway, just outside the threshold, he finds this weird pile of bones, and right above him, hanging from the doorframe, is, again, just like this weird, strange bone symbol thing. And the moment would have been ruined if even, you had, let's say, one of Franklin's friends coming over and saying, "Boy, Franklin, it sure seems weird that there's bones there. This is creepy, Franklin. Who did that? Who did that, Franklin? Why are we still here? We should go." No, that would have honestly really just ruined the scene. Having someone deliver needless exposition that reveals what we already could tell within just a second of looking at the movie. Now, it adds a sense of mystery and it makes us wonder who is really leaving behind these weird symbols. Obviously, there's some weird people over where they're at in some part of rural Texas, but we don't quite know who did it. And kind of going off of that, there's even other scenes in which you have Kirk and Pam, and they go off to explore as every good teenager does on a road trip, and they hear the sound of a generator, which draws their attention because they want some gas for their van. They go further to explore. They find a tattered tent. There's a tree that just it's got pocket watches that have been nailed with it that are hanging to the tree. And there's also this little carport area, and there's a lot of cars in there. It's creepy, it's pretty unsettling, but then eventually it all culminates when we finally see Leatherface. And now, Leatherface, really quick, I want to take a moment for him to actually just talk about him, because I really think the movie was made by Leatherface. Now, that's not to say the cannibal family that we'll be introduced to soon enough here wasn't great. No, not at all. They are fantastic. But without Leatherface, think about it like this. To me, I think Leatherface is the glue that kind of holds everything together. And there's a lot to explore within Leatherface and what makes him so scary. Let's take, another couple of scenes here, for instance. You have this scene right here where he just killed a man, but it looks like he's running around worried and panicking more like a child than anything. It makes me feel like he's more scared of people coming into his home, and he's more scared of potentially even his family members coming home, seeing him, and chastising him for the whole thing. Or you even have him when he gets ready for dinner. God. And he puts on some makeup because you have to get ready for dinner and you have to always be at your best if you have guests over for dinner, no matter what kind of dinner it is. And so you have a lot of stuff to explore just within a single character. And we're never really told any of it. But thanks to the acting on Gunnar Hansen's part and Hooper, getting pretty creative with the character, we're able to gather a lot of details about him. I mean, first off is the fact that he is most likely mentally challenged to some degree. We're never really fully shown whether or not he is capable of speaking or really talking in coherent sentences, and it seems like he acts more like a child than really anything else. I mean, second is that, again, he seems like he is more afraid of them, potentially, at least in a couple of the scenes, than they are of him. I think the scene really does show why everything in the movie works so well, is just because it leads you to believe certain things are happening and it drops these hints, these clues for you throughout the movie. And you can likely figure out something that is going to happen, but chances are you're not going to guess that Kirk is going to go inside that house and he's going to get whopped over the head with a hammer by a man wearing another man's face. That was the last thing I was expecting when I saw this movie for the first time like a while ago. So it really does a great job of dropping subtle hints throughout the movie, and then when it feels as though that it's done it enough, it just shoves everything into your face. Even more so, there's still going to be other hints leading to further events that happen even after we see Kirk, die. And I'm talking about one scene in particular again, and that is the infamous dinner scene. And so now in this scene, just for some context, because it's wild, is it took over 20 hours to film it fully because some of the cast members were not able to stay longer since their contract was about to terminate. The crew had collected a bunch of dead roadkill that they thought they might have put into the movie at one time or another. It never worked out, so they put it behind the house they were filming in and decided, why not burn them all to get rid of them? It didn't really work out like that, and instead, honest to God, I don't want to imagine how rank that place smelled. Combine that with the fact that there was some roadkill, or some dead animals inside the actual house at the time of filming, and the fact that there were blackout curtains inside the house, and it was during the middle of summer in Texas, where it was almost definitely 120 degrees at least inside that house. I don't want to imagine that. I mean, it got so bad that some of the people working on that specific scene would have to go outside, throw up, and then come right back in just to keep filming. And so, as we can see here, there's a lot of stuff going on. You have Sally. She is the last one left of the group, and she's tied to what is quite literally an armchair. And you have Leatherface, who is, again, so he's dressed up all nice and pretty for having a guest over. And you might be wondering, what on earth could they possibly be eating? And you would be wondering right, because it's a human. They're eating Kirk. Anyways, sorry, flipping back to the dinner scene again. You do have a lot of stuff going on. There's this really bizarre editing where we see kind of really close-up shots of the old man, of Leatherface, of Sally, and the hitchhiker, of everyone there. And in relation to like Sally and the hitchhiker, we can kind of see the old man is not really sure if what he's doing is right. He's not even sure if he wants to be doing this. But throughout the editing, throughout the scene, we're able to see pretty accurately that he's getting drawn back into the chaos of it all. He wants to do this. He's giving into his temptations. He's giving into his urges. And it just adds another layer of complexity to the character. And I mean, the entire time, I really feel bad for Marilyn Burns, who played Sally. She had it rough. She got her finger cut on set for like this part right here. Kind of a longish story, but it was done on purpose, in good faith, just because Gunnar wanted to end the scene as quickly as possible, because they were already there for such a long time, and the fake blood was coagulating in the tube they used. But no, Marilyn Burns was quite literally going insane, and it's easy to see. But also, to be fair, I think I'd go pretty insane after being inside a 120-degree house for 10 minutes, let alone 20 plus hours. That's kind of, so that scene overall is really what I love about the movie. It does leave you with many more questions than what it answers. And why I think it's appropriate that the movie really nails the whole technique of show, don't tell is, in the movie. But more specifically, it's in the way Hooper crafted the story. It's in the way he wrote everything, the world, the characters, where things would be during each scene, how that would add to it. Like, it's not stated that Leatherface has multiple personalities or he might be mentally challenged, but it's pretty easy to see the layers of complexity to his character if we pay attention to him. And especially, like, for this video, I watched the Texas Chainsaw Massacre probably like 4 times, and I, honest to God, think I learned something new every time I watched it. Because there's just so much to take in, even if it's just like really small details. They still add overall to like the message of the movie and the overall plot and the significance of it. And so, kind of piggybacking off of Leatherface, you still have the old man, who we're really able to figure out a lot about him, and the hitchhiker, who is clearly crazy. I mean, he ends up cutting himself for fun, I guess, if you could even say that, and then he takes a picture of Franklin. He wants to get paid, and when Franklin doesn't fess up the money, he burns it with gunpowder. Because everyone carries gunpowder. You know, it's ridiculous, and I love every minute of it. Overall, there's really just so much going for the movie. I mean, especially, let's look at the ending scene right here. So Sally, after the dinner scene, she's able to successfully run away, and she gets into the back of this pickup truck that drives off into the sunset, basically. Now, Leatherface, having really failed in his objective of killing Sally, especially considering that the hitchhiker, the brother, is now dead, he's really not sure what to feel. I'm sure he's, angry and sad, and I'm sure in some strange way happy, maybe? I'm not even sure. But he does this really weird dance at the end of the movie that really, I think, shows just everything that the movie did right, because it's weird, it's bizarre. It makes us wonder if there could be someone else like Leatherface out there, just because it ends so abruptly. It doesn't give us any sense of relief at all. I mean, even in real life, sure, there aren't too many people out there like Leatherface, especially considering he was based off of Ed Gein, who was a horrible person. So there are at least some people out there like him, but as to how prevalent they are, it is hopefully not too prevalent. Despite that, I'm sure parents are never too pleased when their kids decide to go on a faraway road trip, or they pick up some hitchhikers, or even do a little bit of hitchhiking themselves. And I'm positive this movie did not help that at all for the kids, or well, the parents of the kids, like in any way, shape, or form. And the movie really did a lot for the horror genre as well, too. I mean, it's been credited with having to help start the final girl trope that we can see in slasher movies like Halloween, for instance. I mean, Laurie Strode as a character has become very popular, especially with the resurgence we're seeing in Halloween right now. And just to make sure you know, the final girl trope is where you have, like, let's say in a horror movie, you have a gang of people, and there's some guys and girls, and the last surviving member is a girl who saves herself from the killer, not by the help of other people necessarily, but by her own force of will. And so alongside that, you also have Leatherface, who was creepy. He was really, I don't like thinking that he wore another face, but he did. Before Leatherface, there wasn't really anyone else like Leatherface, though. You had other killers, sure, and you had Psycho, which was like the first slasher movie ever made, but no one quite like Leatherface. I mean, even alongside that, he was really like the first one to use a power tool to kill people too. And that definitely helped to inspire a whole slew of slasher movies where they used a power tool. Because you have the ever lovingly named Driller Killer movie. It really was a genre-defining movie as a whole. I mean, without a movie like this, and then I'm not even sure what Halloween or Friday the 13th would have looked like. It probably would have been a lot different. And that would have then affected more movies to come on, and the road goes on. But it's a movie that really still stands on its own two legs, as being scary. If not overtly scary to you, then it will probably at one point or another still make you feel unsettled because it's really just bizarre. And it feels more like you're watching a home movie than anything, which makes me feel a little weird inside about it. Almost like I shouldn't be watching it. And so with a movie as genre defining as this one, you do have to be creative. You have to take a chance, because if you don't take a chance, if you just stick to what's being made already, then that's not really adding much to the genre. It can be a great movie and it can be a lot of fun, but you're not necessarily, pushing the envelope in the direction that you would want to see the horror genre be taking in. Well, horror genre as an example, any genre at all, really, though, for storytelling. But Hooper and his crew, they really took a chance with the movie, and it paid off really, really well. It had so many things going against it, and there was a lot of trouble with production, with producing it even. But it worked out really good. I mean, it's a cult classic. I mean, I'm not sure if it's really a cult classic as much as it is a classic, but whatever. But no, it's a really, really great movie. And in watching it, it's really easy to see why it's so great. There's so many things going for it. It is really weird. It's creepy. It's unsettling. It makes me feel kind of queasy sometimes. And it feels dirty. More than anything, the movie felt kind of dirty to watch. In a good way. In a fun way. Normally, I don't like feeling dirty. But this movie makes me like feeling dirty. And, I don't know, I really love the movie, and watching it and making a video about it has been a lot of fun. So if you're still watching this, I really want to say thank you so much. I really do appreciate it, because this has been something I've been wanting to get into for a little while, and I'm finally taking the time out of my day to do it, and it really is just a lot of fun. And I hope that maybe I added some cool information to your day. If not, hopefully you just enjoyed the video. Either way, I really do want to say thank you again. If you do like the video and if you want to watch more like it, feel free to subscribe and hit the like button, because I do want to make more videos like this. It would be a lot of fun. So thank you again. I hope you have a great day, and until next time.